Hey smokers, Jiraga1 here, and today we're going to be installing an SSD, that's right, an SSD, into a second generation iPod. Now as you can see, I've already completed some disassembly of said iPod. This is the bad right here, the old one. You can sort of see the indentation that the hard drive had on this. We're also going to replace the battery as well. Hopefully we can increase this by 100. This is the sort of vibration protection. Proper word escapes me at the moment. It almost seems like it seems to form fit around the disc there, assuming that's where the disc is. It's not held down by anything, it's just sitting in there between these two, vibration protection squishy parts. Really just pull this apart. It uses 500 milliamps, and of course that it is a 20 gig hard disk. It still works, the whole device still functions, everything's fine. We'll put that aside. Now, of course, star of the show, the SSD. So as you can see, this is an SSD, this is not an SD card. Now I have SD cards, and that was the first plan for this little project. But I wanted to go ahead and go all the way to SSD land because, I mean, go big or go home, This is the box it comes in. It comes in a lot of foam. And there it is. Now, this SSD is roughly the same size as the actual drive. So it looks like it'll take up pretty much the same amount of space. It just looks about like it's as thick as the bottom portion of the other one. So set that aside. Let's try and plug this one in. So no other modification should have to be done to this device to get it to work. It's really just a matter of plugging it in. The downside though is that this drive doesn't have anything on it. So you can see right here it is the 128 gig model. There doesn't appear to be a bigger model from King Spec. I don't know if I would have bought a 256 version of this, considering. So you can sort of see another similarity between the two drives here. Put them on top so you can see. So you have sort of flat rounded rectangle and then just a circle there. So we got to put it in exactly the same way so that nobody dies. This is considerably lighter. It doesn't have a power usage that it uses up, but something tells me SSDs, just by their very nature, are going to use up less energy. So let's go ahead and plug this in. Gotta be a little bit careful that you get all your pins matched up, because some pins are not used. Normally that wouldn't be an issue if you still had those tabs on there. The battery, which is supposedly a higher milliamp hour battery than the original one that came with it. Here it is right here. As you can see, replacement for iPod first and second generation. As you can see, it's pretty much exactly the same dimensions. The other one is a little taller than it is for some reason, but that won't make it so that it won't fit. It's pretty simple. You can really only plug this in one way. So let's put it on top of the... Oh, we almost forgot something very important. This. Now, the difference here is it's normally supposed to fit over that. We don't have anything like that anymore. We can just sort of set it like that and it's sort of floating. Now, if all the dimensions are correct, we should be able to just put this on top and it'll fit. It does sort of wiggle a little bit in there. Actually, I almost don't want to put that in right away just because it seems a little bit too thick if I were to try that. So this is actually the most precision and difficult part of the whole operation here. So now it's plugged in. The iPod is probably turning itself on. It hasn't yet. I don't know if you could see what happened there, but it did have a folder. And that's actually a good sign, because that means that it can't find anything on the drive, but it's not complaining that the drive's not there. and it's not getting stuck at the Apple logo. So actually pretty good. So at this point we need to run a restore from iTunes. And let's go ahead and do that before we put this whole thing back together, just in case there's something more we need to do. So here we have yet another Power Mac G5 set up. We're going to try and sync some music to this, hopefully get it restored on the Power Mac G5, since it would be a little bit more period correct for this iPod. However, the version of iTunes, the computer in question, really have nothing to do with the whole process of restoring this iPod, since the actual restore software in question shouldn't actually be on the computer, it's on Apple servers. That's what may be our downfall. Without the actual Apple software to load onto this device, we won't be able to get it working. So hopefully Apple still hosts the iPod 2nd generation software on their servers. So I'm going to set this down here. I have daisy chained to this old ass hard drive, FireWire 400 hard drive. So that's the FireWire port right there. You can't see anything on the screen. I haven't tried to power it up again. Let me go ahead and very carefully plug this in into the magic FireWire. Turn this over so you can see it. Yep, that's a good sign. Means it connected, because it says you shouldn't disconnect it. So that means that it's having some sort of interface with a computer of some sort. Now right now you normally would see the iPod pop up, probably right in the corner here by this external hard drive, but since it doesn't have a file system on that SSD, can't really expect it to have anything show up. So that's where iTunes comes in, which will take care of the formatting of the mysterious iPod drive, which normally will have most of its files hidden to the Mac operating system, like where it stores all the music, so on and so forth. So here we go. So if it doesn't do anything, it normally means you have to put the iPod in disk mode, which makes it so that iTunes can better see it. It's sort of like a recovery mode for iPhones and stuff. If iPhones don't show up in iTunes, you have to put them in recovery mode so that you can just recover them. So I need to go Google that because I forgot how to do that. Alright, I read it once, so it should be enough training to do it. Unplug this. Switch the hold on and off. This does force restart. That should be disk mode. Oh, I gotta wait till the Apple. That's what. Yeah, fuck. There we go. There we go. It's giving me sass. It might not do it because there's nothing on the drive. So worst case scenario is that I need to somehow format this drive. Let's go ahead and try and plug it in again. This time directly connected to the FireWire port. So it is connected. New version, an old version of iTunes may have some problems with that. Okay, so I did something. I didn't have it connected, but I made it show this screen from the Apple logo. Basically what I did was, I was reading the wrong instructions. You hold this and this, and then this and this after you see the Apple logo, not this and this. So at least I gotta do something. Let's see what happens when I plug it in. I have Disk Utility open right now because the iPod did actually show up in Disk Utility last time I was using it. So we'll see if it'll do that again. And also have iTunes on the side there so you can see it. So at this point I'm pretty certain it's because the drive is unformatted. And unfortunately I don't have any connector that can connect to the 1/8 inch SSD to actually do it. Now of course I'm told that it is compact flash, but I'm not willing to risk trying to connect all the connectors to a compact flash adapter or anything to try and get it formatted, because I've had some pretty catastrophic problems with that in the past. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a adapter for that, and then we'll be back. Alright, it's later, and the adapter came in. It's a 1.8 inch IDE 50 pin to regular IDE, PETA, whatever, 40 pin. I didn't count the pins, so I don't know if that's right. So we're going to pray and hope that this will connect to something. Now, why are we using this? Well,
if I didn't say it earlier, I'm going to have to clone the contents of the old iPod hard drive, this little shit right here, over to the SSD. Now, since I only have one of these, I'll have to clone this to a disk image, and then load that same disk image onto the SSD. Now, there are a few caveats with this. This is a 20 gigabyte drive, and a 20 gigabyte drive will result in a 20 gigabyte disk image. And when you load a 20 gigabyte disk image back onto the SSD, what do you get? A lot of extra space that's not used up. So hopefully we can extend that HFS partition after this goes to an image and goes to the SSD. iPod's sitting over there. And hopefully it'll find it usable. But before we do anything else, let's make sure this will actually plug into this. Some pins are different lengths than others. I don't know how you can reliably plug it in. And I don't even know if I'm plugging it in upside down or not. Maybe it's some pins only go so deep. Well, I plugged it in upside down and it seemed to want to go in all the way. Let's unplug it very, very, very carefully. Try to plug it in, quote unquote, right side up again. It appears to stop. But I think the only reason it's stopping is because it's hitting the printed circuit board right there. Could that be a safety mechanism? I don't know. I don't know which way it's supposed to go. There's no way to tell. Maybe I should actually Google some pinouts before I fry another drive. What? I didn't fry a drive. Okay, so a couple minutes of looking at pinouts on Google Images, I've determined that this is in fact the way you plug it in. Fingers crossed, however. So, our first thing we're going to try is we're going to try and plug this into the Mac Pro and try to image it with disk utility. This is, of course, not the recommended way to go about getting the data off of this, but let's actually see if there's anything that... let's just see if this works first. But before we can do that, we need some sort of way to plug it in. You have no idea how useful this drive sled is. Oh my god. So now, being very careful here, you want to connect your IDE cable right in there. And then connect your Molex power right there. Now, what's the first problem we have with this? The indicator lights on the adapter are on the opposite side. So we can't even see if something's going to go wrong. Guess we'll just see what happens when we plug it in. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of extra room to do anything. Oh well, we'll just put that right there and pray it survives. Drive spinning up. I'm hearing loading sounds. And it says iPod on the desktop! Draga's iPod. I'll be damned. So as you can see, there's not a whole lot to write home about in the actual directory. But it's not really what's in the directory. It's what's hidden from us. Like those things. Yeah, look at all those files in there. Yeah, it definitely needs those. Especially this iPod control folder. Now, I have half a mind to just copy and just sort of drag and drop these files off of here. Let's see if we can get any more information about the format of this. Looks like it's just macOS extended journaled, and there's not much else to it. So before we do anything, why don't we just throw open disk utility, create a new image off Draga's iPod, no encryption, and hopefully it will successfully image the drive. Again, disk utility is not the best choice for imaging stuff. I'm going to let it run just for safety's sake. Now, my theory is that, and there isn't that much stuff on there, so that was really quick. There's literally one song on the whole iPod. My theory is that the reason why the SSD wasn't showing up and the iPod wasn't showing up in iTunes is because the drive's just not formatted. Since this one's formatted, it just works. So I probably don't need to go through the whole trouble of having to re-image crap or whatever. So let's just unplug this drive, plug the other one in, see if we can at least get it formatted. Be sure to eject your iPod before Yeah. And be sure to turn this off before you do anything. So here's our iPod. It's still connected. Still connected by that ZIF cable. And I wish this thing didn't feel so dang fragile, but this is probably one of the most robust iPods there is. If I didn't say it already, I'm praising the older style iPods for your ability to crack them open and replace parts super easily. And if this all works out in the end, it's just a testament to how awesome those old bulky iPods were. And I'm going to plug this in the exact same way with the SSD. There we go. Switch it on. Well, that's interesting. Do you want to use SSD to back up with Time Machine? Okay, somebody's already formatted this, and it's just called SSD. What's this? System volume information. Oh, there's our primary issue. It's formatted with NTFS. Guess who doesn't like NTFS? So I have a theory, and let me power on my Power Mac G5 as I'm talking. It just doesn't want to use NTFS by any means, so I think I can just format this, plug it back into the iPod, and we'll be fine. If it still doesn't work, I'm just going to have to somehow re-image the thing, and it'll be a pain in the ass, but let's try it. Actually, the safest method would be to use iTunes on this computer to take on that operation. So, before we do anything, let's bring open this. Here's our 120 gig SSD. Now, this is the same computer where I formatted a drive. So we're on super hardcore nightmare mode now because we don't have just one, we don't have just two, but we have 3 different 120 gigabyte drives in this machine, one of which is, or 2 of which are SSDs. Luckily though, we can see that the USB volume here in the side is in fact the one we want to format. So let's just go ahead and erase this with Mac OS Extended Journaled. Sweet God. Erase, are you sure want to, okay, USB 1394 USB drive media. Yes. Okay, that definitely lit up on the SSD to do that. And it wants me to use it with Time Machine again. No. So let's eject it. Not ejected it? Oh, it's just mounted, whatever. Let's power off that. And you didn't see it, but it went away on the screen. Let's carefully pull this out. And it powered back on while I was unplugging it. What the fuck? Well, hopefully it's not fried. Wow, everything changed color because I opened the frickin' window. So you gotta be very careful with this. Again, the tabs here are broken off. I did that little vent off camera because I wanted to make sure that it went in correctly. There it is. Okay. Moment of Truth 3.0. That's good. I don't have it on the screen yet. Probably isn't formatted. God damn it. God damn it. Okay, so it looks like I will have to image the drive over to this one. Now this will take probably 2 different computers to do properly, but let's see if we can make it happen. Plug in power securely. And look at that, comes right back up. So we haven't fried our SSD yet. So we're doing okay. So let's go to the next step, which is restoring an image to this. Now even I gotta say, the image restore function on this is a little bit of a higher level feature that this very criminally under-featured software. You have to drag the destination over like that. And I suppose you can do this with Super Duper too, or even Carbon Copy Cloner, but let's try it with Disk-Utility, even though it's a piece of shit. So let's not erase the destination. Or we can erase the destination. Okay, restore. Erase. Jesus Christ. And guess what? It fucking fails immediately. Cannot find any scanning information. The source image needs to be image scanned before it can be restored. So why don't we do that? Images. Scan image for restore. You can't see that because it's off screen. And we pick this one because that's the image we want to use. And scan. And we have to put in our password again! Oh, that looks good. If this works, this will be like the only known successful case of a restored image. So let's try and click that same button again. Fuck. Holy shit, is it actually doing something? Oh! And look at that! I think it's ready! Haha! It thinks it's drawing his iPod again. So hey, don't knock disk utility completely until you've given it a try. I guess this worked pretty well, because we're probably only dealing with a couple megs of data, but whatever. Let's disconnect this and put it right back in the iPod. Don't worry, I ejected it. Ejected it a lot. Now I'm feeling pretty dang confident it's going to work, that I'm even going to put the battery back in. Okay. That's that. Kind of need the optics of the camera to even see what I'm doing here. Holy crap. Are you shitting me?
I am not shitting you.
There's no other way those files are on there perfectly. There's no better way to do it. Well, I guess there's just one step left. Let's to plug this guy into the computer in disk mode. Let's see if we can get it into disk mode. This will force it to shut down. This should force it to shut down. Hold these left and right. So there's it in disk mode. Nothing at all. Let's plug it into the Mac Pro. And it doesn't work over there either. So the only thing else I could think to do is to plug it into an El Capitan machine with the latest version of iTunes to hopefully understand what's going on. Here's the downside. I don't have a Firewire 800 to 400 adapter, so I'd have to frickin' get one of those. And something tells me that just won't work either. So there's nothing wrong with the SSD, there's nothing wrong with the original iPod hard drive, there's nothing wrong with the original iPod, and there's nothing wrong with its battery. Absolutely every individual component works. But together, the whole is less than the sum of its parts, I guess, in this case. Just everything works. I mean, it would work fine if I put the regular hard disk in there, but for whatever reason, it just does not like the SSD. It just won't read it. It just says, fuck you. So I don't know what else to do. I am sort of out of luck and out of options for how to finish this and make it work. For those of you who are curious, this is the SSD in question, King Spec SSD, solid state drive, 1.8 inch. There's the QR code if you want to go to their website and figure out what the fuck is going on. I guess I'll save the SSD for a rainy day if I ever run into a computer that needs a 1.8 inch IDE SSD, and that would be a friggin' instant upgrade. With that adapter, I can make it a basic IDE drive. So this is perfect in every way, except it just doesn't work. So I really do not know. I have no idea. Tried everything I can try, done everything I can think of. This won't shut off whenever it's like this for some reason. Unless I pull the battery on it. So I don't know why that is. So yeah, guys, this was a failure. I don't know what else to do. If you guys have any ideas on how I can get this damn thing working, I'm guessing what I'm gonna find out is it just doesn't support that kind of SSD in there. It's just impossible. But guess what? We're not really done yet. There is still one thing we can try, and that's the SD card adapter. This is a compact flash SD card adapter, and this supposedly can work with iPods. Yeah, they're pretty confident this will just work with an iPod. So I'll go ahead and plug that in, throw in a 128 gig SD card, and pray to high heaven that it will just work. So check to make sure that that's a SD card in there. So here's the SD card, Ultimate Compact Flash Adapter. Plug it in. There we go. Now, to make sure that this works first before we do anything, I'm going to plug it into my compact flash reader here, which for some reason goes in at an angle. Lo and behold, it works. So we can take a look here. This is also an HFS Plus partition. If we go to folder properties, it won't tell us what it is, so we'll have to close it out and run gparted instead. Fuck. So there we are, HFS Plus DOPI. So let's close that out. So now we can unplug this, since we've confirmed that it is in fact working. Shit. So now we have to install this, hopefully properly this time. So you gotta be careful with the number of pins, because you'll probably fuck them up. And I'm probably going to fuck it up right now. So yeah, this could cause a lot of problems if you don't plug it in right. But I'm at a loss and I don't know how else to plug that in. Should be right. Well, since it's already HFS formatted, not with an iPod image, although we could easily fix that. Let's go ahead and plug this in without plugging in the battery. Nothing's plugged into the other side. But let's see if this gives us a problem. Jesus. Well, it's already getting hot. Let's see if I broke it. Nothing. Just to make sure this isn't broken. Shit, is it broken? Fuck. What the fuck? Oh my shit. Oh my shit. Have you guys ever seen Electro Boom on YouTube? It's a pretty funny guy. He's got a really good channel. Gets electrocuted a lot. He also does have a tendency to fry things every single time he turns them on. In fact, I've probably seen several dozen circuits just blow up in his face as soon as he turns them on. I gotta say, I feel a little bit like him right now, but without the electrical engineering background. I believe I have not only fried this, but I've fried this as well. I'm now out a second compact flash adapter and a 128 gig SSD. SD card. I don't know what else to say. That was really hard for me to say. That's really bad. So for those of you who have a second generation iPod, be sure to only use its original hard disk, or if you can get another one that was designed only for use with this, just use that. The SSD won't work, and you'll fry this and this trying to get anything done. Yes, I actually did fry both of them. They're both fried. I tried plugging a different SD card into the adapter, and it no longer works. Don't ever do this. Don't ever try that. Ever. That works. There's nothing wrong with this hardware. There's nothing wrong with this hardware. But when you put it all together, it sucks. So let this be a warning video as to anybody who's iPod hobbyist, or anybody who has half a lick of sense. Don't do this. It's not a good idea, and you'll throw a lot of money down the drain. I've probably spent over $100 worth of parts, probably over $150, maybe even more worth of parts, just to try and get this thing going. A lot of you are probably already realizing that I probably didn't do a lot of research on this and probably could have figured out that this wasn't going to work, and that this probably could have been avoided if I just knew what the proper pinouts were. In fact, I've already fried 2 of these now, and this survived the first hit, but I guess it couldn't survive 2 hits. So, thanks for watching, everybody. This has been the most depressing episode of Draga 1 that I've ever had to record. If you guys have any other ideas on how to get this working, please let me know, and I probably won't follow them because I'm too depressed to want to follow this journey any further. But, guess what? Let's not make this an unhappy ending. I still have the original hard drive and everything else in the iPod works. So why don't we load this up with some good tunes and jam out to some music? Eh? Because really, at the end of the day, that's really all that matters, right? You're enjoying some good music on your cool new shiny iPod that you just bought in like 2002 or something. There we go. Let's put it back together. Don't forget the battery connector. Works perfectly. No problems at all. So right now, there's only one song on there, and as you'd probably guess, it's copyrighted. So let's throw on some of my own jams. Let's plug it in. It'll say do not disconnect. Assuming I didn't wear out the FireWire port doing this too much. I think I did. Oh look, there it is, working perfectly. Now sure, we only got 20 gigs, but at least it works. Now, I would load this thing up with Apple lossless files, but according to some of the specs I was looking at, it doesn't actually support that. It doesn't support Apple lossless. Besides, I think Apple lossless would, like, kill its battery life. Oh, hell, I don't know. It would fill up its dang drive. This is the biggest drive available for this model of iPod, and back in the day, these iPods were hella expensive. $300-$400? Like, holy crap, what the hell? Nope, let's just drag these in there. Load up my music. Alright, cool. So let's drag these onto the iPod, just like old times. All done. So let's not forget to eject our iPod from our Power Mac G5. Unplug it. Can you say thumbnail image? Yep, it's on there. Now, I don't think there's any other steps to the whole making sure iPod works thing. So let's go ahead and put the back on, because I don't know what else to do. Fuck. Yep. There we go. That didn't really feel good. But hey, it's working. Backlight's on. Now let's very ironically put this in a iPod dock. See if we can see it better this way. And plug in there. Sometimes you just don't need to worry about stuff. Sometimes you don't need crazy capacities. Just to have a good time listening to music. Of course, you can only listen to a limited amount of music, but Maybe that way you'll make sure you listen to stuff that you really care about. This has been Jiraga1. Thanks for watching.